Hi there and welcome to this recording. It's Willie Knight here, and I had a few points that have just occurred to me that I wanted to share, to do with touching on the subject of channeling and to do with self-realization and the deeper meaning of that. You'll have to forgive me huffing and puffing a little bit. I've just been out in the shed on my punching bag getting a bit of a workout, and as you probably know, often we have these realizations when we're out doing things. We could be in the shower or going for a walk or on the punching bag at work. Currently I'm employed as a truck driver. All the time, I'm driving the truck and I have some sort of deep realization that I immediately need to record somehow. And so I guess these kind of realizations and revelations don't really have much regard for our convenience, but I think it's a great thing, because I really believe that we are intended to live moment by moment in the ever deepening realization of who we really are. So basically, along the subject of self-realization, I wanted to touch on the idea that as we begin to have a deeper and deeper realization of who we really are, we realize that everything is a part of that. It's easy to think of God as being some separate entity, the universe. Deeper, higher entities such as Michael and Daniel, who have spoken through me, and you may have heard some of those recordings. These are not separate beings. This is what I'm coming to realize, is that there's not a separation between you and I, for example, but also there's not a separation between you or I and these deeper and higher beings, these higher realizations of self. There is a distinct oneness, and the path towards true realization is to realize that, to understand fully and deeply that these are not some separate, far off being, but this is actually you. That's who you really are. That's who I really am. And in the realization of that, there's immense power, and that power is the remembering of who we really are, which is all of these things. When we make God or these higher entities or any form of energy, when we make that energy out to be some separate identity, someone other than us, because, oh no, I'm not worthy to be that, when we do that, we diminish ourselves, and we actually miss the point, because the whole point of all of those things is to reflect to us and to help us to recognize our own depth and our own spiritual brilliance. So the whole point, the whole idea of all of these experiences, whether it's communicating with a passed on loved one, a higher entity, divine revelation, some deep understanding that has come to you, those things are not something separate from you. That brilliance was inside you all along, and it's not coming from outside somewhere. It's not coming from some other personage, but it's coming from you, from the deeper realization of you, and all of that brilliance is contained within you. At first, that may sound like, oh, well, it's all fake then. It's not really, you're not really channeling some other being. And there can be, at first, when you come to understand this, there can be a sense of disappointment even, or disillusionment, that, oh, so all along this experience or this revelation that I've been having, that was just me. But what's hidden underneath that, subtly in there, is your understanding of who you are. You think of yourself as being somehow small or separate or unworthy, and you don't realize that you are brilliant beyond your imagination. And so, of course, all of those things were coming from the deeper part of yourself, the deeper realization of who you really are. And where else could they come from? Because when you really understand who you really are, then you begin to realize that you're at one with all of these things, and all of these things are you and move through you. And there isn't some sort of separation. The illusion of separation, the illusion of having separate entities speaking to us, exists. Essentially, it's like a set of training wheels, so that we have a method by which to receive these deeper revelations in a way that we can understand. Because what you have to get is that the universe, which is simply your deeper self, wants to reconnect with you. To put that in other words, God wants to reconnect with you. That's what God wants most. That's what your deeper self wants most, is to reconnect with you as you experience yourself. And that deeper self, that universe or God, will do whatever it takes and will operate in any possible way to get through to you, to remind you of who you really are, and to wake you from the sleep that you're in. And that may include all of the things that we've talked about. That's the process that's happening, is that your deeper self, the revelation of who you really are, is trying to get through to you using all of these different vehicles and methods. And what we tend to do in our human nature is that we focus on the vehicle and the method, not the power and the message behind it. And we even do that with ourselves. You and I are simply a vehicle or a vessel, and we tend to focus on the vessel and not the power that is moving through it. So what I want to encourage you to do, and encourage myself to do, is to see beyond these methods and these vehicles, all of these different teachings, things to do with the chakras, things to do with channeling, things to do with different types of healing. All of these are just vehicles through which the universe is trying to communicate to you the deeper truth of who you really are and the power that you have. Using all of these different religions, all of these different belief systems, all of these different methods, because again, the universe will travel any road to find you. Your deeper self will use any method possible to try and communicate to you, to get you to wake up and realize who you really are. Because again, the deepest desire of your deepest self is to be rejoined to you, and that you as your conscious self, the you that you experience, would come to know who you really are. Well, that's my ramble finished. I hope that you've found something in here that will be useful or revelatory for you. I hope that if you're a listener to these podcasts, that they are beneficial and encouraging to you. If you have any questions, if you disagree with something that you've heard here, then by all means leave a comment, send me an email. I'd be honoured and happy to hear anything that you have to say. Ultimately, I'm not trying to convince anyone to believe anything. I just want to share the things that I believe have been revealed to me. If you really violently disagree with what I have to say, my encouragement is to you, don't listen to it. Obviously you're at a different place on your journey, and that's fine. That's exactly wherever you are, I believe, is exactly where you need to be. And if what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you, with where you're at, then to me it's simple. Don't listen to it. Spend your time on the things that do resonate with you, and perhaps your journey will lead you back to this place, or perhaps it will take you somewhere completely different. But certainly I do want to make it clear that I'm not trying to force my beliefs on anyone or to convince anyone of anything, but simply to offer what I've learnt, and allow whoever wants to take whatever they will from these recordings, and also from the various articles and things that I've been writing. So I wish you all the best in your spiritual or non-spiritual quest for truth, and I hope that you'll join me again in the future.